Good afternoon, guys. Vino here. It is Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026. It's almost 5 p.m. right now, but I am really grateful for the sunlight and the warmth from today. It is hump day. We're halfway through the work week. Monday and Tuesday were quite cold. Weekend was pretty decent for the weather, but it's been pretty brutal again with this weird mood swings that the weather is having. But today it's like again about 18 degrees outside. Thankfully, no wind either, otherwise, it would feel a lot colder. But again, always grateful for the sunlight whenever we can get it. Spring is just around the corner, and I think it's peeking out its head from underground. So we're getting close to that, and I'm really excited for more warmer weather. Even if it rains, as long as it's not cold, I'm always like happy to take a step out and go for a drive or a walk when I can. Honestly, after work, I really do need to take more of that opportunity to take a walk outside. Don't want to get too cooped up in the home. But again, I'm really glad that we're almost done the work week here. 2 more days and then back to the weekend again. So excited to get some outings done if I can, or shopping done if I can. But yeah, just want to pick up the camera again. It's been a couple days. I think it's almost 4 days. I did record something on Friday last week, but then again, weekend I was just doing my own thing with the family and didn't feel like recording anything at the time. But today, I kind of wanted to like speak about a couple things and share my thoughts as usual. Mostly again for myself, but again, it always feels good to say it out loud and keep things bottled up. I think I just want to talk about the difficulty in being kind, or at least kinder to yourself. I know a lot of us, especially introverts in particular, but just people who never grew up with a lot of like attention in the friendship sense or in the romantic sense. Sometimes we give a lot of great advice, like relationship advice and friendship advice, to others, but we are seldom the ones to take it, and I'm very guilty of that. I wouldn't say it's a very hypocritical thing. I think it's just some of us realize that we get satisfaction in helping others, just so that from our crappy experience of growing up from childhood to adulthood, we don't want the other party or the other person we care about to go through that or experience those emotions. So we end up like deprecating ourselves. But again, as long as the other person is happy, we're okay with it. And I kind of caught myself more doing that in the last couple of days. Even today, for example, like I felt pretty good about myself. I feel like I dressed a little bit better today. Got my like simple like gold chain on. My haircut still feels pretty good from the previous week. So I feel like a little bit sharper, a little bit more alert, and sort of like I'm showing a little bit more of like self love and self appreciation for how I look. But again, there are days where I'm just like, oh God, like I look hideous, or I feel like pretty low in terms of my energy and my attitude. And obviously, not everything in life is going to be like smooth sailing, and there are going to be difficult days and good days combined. Um, I always kind of think about that aspect of. I think there was a YouTube video many years back where they pretty much just showed of how you would, if you are a living being and a living person, you have to have a heartbeat, and heartbeat and cardiograms have a fluctuation of up and down. So there are upward curves and downward curves, and if things stayed the same the whole time, then you'd be dead, right? Because it's a flat line. You don't exist, and life is just not there. You're not living life. And I think, especially when it comes to self-esteem and just self-love, um, I'm always of the mindset of like, you can't only have self-love, but at the same time, we are our own harshest critic, and I'm really trying to work on that. um, in the sense that I want to be kinder to myself. It's easier said than done. I try to look in the mirror sometimes and say, okay, like you didn't accomplish everything that you wanted to do, like that day or in that moment, but it's trying to hold on to those small wins whenever you can. Whether it be like, again, appearance wise, career wise, and in any other like romantic relationship wise. Obviously, we are going to fail at a lot of things, even though the victories always feel like, it's fleeting enjoyment versus the failures sting and like linger a lot longer in our minds than we'd like them to. But especially when it comes to, as I said, anyone who has never like gotten a lot of attention from the opposite sex or like the opposite genders, and they haven't felt like love and attention and just like general like popularity, you can say in the simplest terms. We are our own worst enemies, especially when we get in our heads. And there are times where I still am pretty bad at like talking to myself. Like I will notice that I just keep on reiterating the things that I didn't do, or like, I kind of semi insult myself saying, "Oh, Vino, like why didn't you do this?" Or "Why did you get lazy and not do this?" Or "Why did you do this kind of, action or this decision in certain tasks?" And those are the worst moments because, as the saying goes, you need to, just like you're growing like a plant, for example, you got to talk kindly to that plant you're growing to make it grow strong and like healthy. And it's the same. And I think there have been a lot of research done in the last like maybe couple years, more like psychological, like psychology studies, where by you saying negative things to yourself hurts your brain more and hinders your development, and vice versa, saying kind words to yourself actually does improve your development for the better, and you can see that change happen. But as I said, it's easier said than done. Most days are difficult, and again, I have felt that on and off in the last couple of weeks. So that's why it's not always easy to pick up the camera and say something or talk about it. But it's also why I do kind of force myself to record something like I am right now. Not in the bad sense. It's just like, as I said, the more you keep things bottled up, the worse it's going to get. And at least as like a little small victory for myself, I like the way I look today, so I want to like talk about it and be kind to myself in that manner. So that's me taking small steps forward to encourage myself, take care of myself and my body and my appearance, so that I'm not totally letting myself go when these kind of waves of depression and low mood and low mental health hits me. I'm not like completely becoming a sloppy human being. And I always find that even in my darkest days, if I can kind of tidy up something, I wash my face well, I have a nice shave, a haircut, I put on some clothes that is not just like my pajamas all the time, it really does pick up the mood in some sense at least, and that's very helpful. And that's what I kind of why I'm recording this, and hopefully it helps some other people too. Is like, even if you're having a bad day, even if you feel like you don't love yourself in that moment, um, as I kind of encourage everybody, like, look in the mirror, tell yourself like, hey, like, I I'm a human being that's worth it. That I'm here, not just to be productive, but to live life as best as I can. And I'm not gonna, as I always say, don't put my energy into the uncontrollables, and only put energy to the controllables, which are always my actions and my words, and how I treat myself. So yeah, let's all try to just say kind words to ourselves. And as much as social media tries to like divide us and put us down and make us compare ourselves in the worst of ways of all the things that we lack, um, even if you got out of bed this morning, even if you just had a small breakfast and you made it yourself, even if you like sent off that email that you were kind of delaying for some kind of family member, or like that job application that you were hesitant to apply for, just even if you did the smallest single thing, that is still better than doing nothing. So that's kind of my point of the day here and point of the video. It's always hard to be kind to yourself. Some people have it easy. They grew up with a lot more attention, a lot better self-esteem. They grew up in an environment where they didn't feel like they were judged all the time or bullied or discriminated in any form. And again, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just they kind of got the luck of the draw, the RNG, that they kind of grew up with more love in that manner. So they kind of appreciate themselves. And as long as they don't have a huge ego to themselves, a lot of them just grew up kind as well. And, by them being kind and growing up with kindness from the beginning, some of them do end up like being really kind to others in a better way. But for people like me, and if people relate to what I'm saying here, yeah, you have to be kind to yourself, because you cannot depend on external validation, and internal validation is sometimes both the toughest but also the most worthwhile words of kindness that you can give to yourself. So that is kind of the final point I want to leave across for today. But yeah, I hope everybody had a good weekend and you made it through the first 2 or 3 days, as we made it to Wednesday here for the work week. And let's make it to the end of this week, and we will have our fun again on the weekend. But I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.